Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Lindsay Tavarian. I'm here with Cecilia Isaac. We are the founders of F-BOM.com, Feminist Book of the Month, and we are super excited to be here today with our Summer Book of the Month author who wrote Out of the Pocket, which has an awesome pink cover. I was super excited to have some really bright colors after our series of blue covers the last couple of months. But in any case, Fiona's here with us to talk about her book. But first, Cecilia is going to tell a few things about how our videos are going to work.
Well, first of all, it's F-BOM's 1-year anniversary. We launched July 1st, 2017, so we're very excited. Fiona is our anniversary author. So you guys will see some changes as we roll into our second year, some things we've been wanting to do, and some things that we have gotten feedback on that people want to see. So one of those changes is that instead of doing the long 30-minute interview with the author where we talk all about their books and all about their publishing, we're going to divide it up. So this interview, part 1, is going to be about Out of the Pocket and Fiona's experience writing that. And then we'll do part 2, and that's where we'll expand. We'll talk about Fiona's other work and about her publishing journey. But we are going to release the topic for the flash fiction contest so that everybody can start writing right away.
And just a reminder, if you didn't catch it, anyone who signs up to be a member before July 31st will be considered a founding member of F-BOM. That means now and for years to come, you'll be getting exclusive founding member only perks and swag. This year, we are going to be giving out these fun Hello, I Am a Feminist pins to all of our founding members. So if you sign up before the 31st of July, you will be considered part of that elite category, and why wouldn't you want to be a founding member? So without further ado, Fiona, it sounds like we had a sneak peek before, but for those who missed it, could you again introduce yourself and just talk a little bit about Out of the Pocket?
All right. Hi, I am Fiona J.R. Titchenell. I wrote Out of the Pocket. It is a paranormal romance that is not a paranormal romance at all. It's about a very lonely girl who loves romances of all kinds and meets a mysterious boy who takes her into the pocket, a world of fantasy and imagination with everything she ever imagined that she wanted, and it turns out to be absolutely nothing like she was promised it would be. It's a paranormal romance gone awry. And funny you should talk about the cover. I love this cover. It was actually pre-made. It was not designed for this book, but it could not match it any better because it is pink and swirly and magical and inviting. And then you look at it a little closer and it's kind of creepy and it's suspiciously bleeding. And it's just absolutely perfect. And I'm so happy that I found it. And yay to Laura Moyer, who makes amazing pre-made covers. So shout out to her.
Fantastic. So this whole interview is going to be about just the book. So I'm really excited about it because I was the one who read Out of the Pocket before we decided that we were going to be reaching out to Fiona to confirm being an F-BOM author. And one thing that I really enjoyed about the book was the landscape of the pocket and how it's almost like a patchwork quilt, not so far off from like Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass, where it's like the chessboard. But in this case, each square area is like a different genre of fiction or a different movie genre. Like, dinosaurs and tropical Jurassic Park type area. There's like zombie world. There's like corporate 80s America. I mean, fantasy land. So what I'm curious about is, is there more genres you didn't even show us in the book in your world building? But also, how did you land on what the scenery was going to be?
Okay, the idea for the pocket and all of its different lands originally came from Out of the Pocket began in the Neverland universe because Peter Pan was one of my first childhood bad boy crushes. And I thought about, what if this story were a little bit older and the people in it were a little bit older? What, instead of pirates and Indians, would they be imagining as being all the parts of this fantasy world? And eventually it evolved from there because My agent said, Neverland is overdone, and plus its public domain status is some of the most complicated in the world. So ended up making it something different, making the entrance to it in New England instead of England, and a whole lot else changed from there. But that was where the original idea came from and why the world is like that. And I imagine that the pocket changes over time with whatever Joshua's latest interests are based on whoever he's been talking to on the outside. Parts get forgotten and abandoned and new parts spring up, like the Victorian world that comes into being when Angela arrives. And I loved working with having all those genres in one place. I love mixing genres. I love genre bending fiction. And this let me really play with that. And it let me play with what always happens to the girl in every one of those different genres. So I got to play with a whole bunch of different versions of that. How she gets left behind to be rescued in one area, and how all of the costumes are so thoroughly impractical for her no matter where she goes. And yeah, that was one of my favorite things about the world, was just getting to examine that across genres and not just in romance or in any other one particular genre.
I know at one part, and this is not to spoil anything, I just had to do a double take when I was like, wait, is this aliens now? Like, what? It's really fun. It really is it keeps moving, which I really enjoyed.
Thank you.
Do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, sure. So when we talk about Out of the Pocket, we call it YA paranormal, and then we always have to add genre bending on the front of it to make sure that people know that there are also dinosaurs and other things going on. So I want to take that and move it into tropes. So our question here is, do you have a favorite character to write? So I am interested in that answer, but also, what tropes do you like and not like? Why did you choose the romance genre and these character tropes to break down? What did you like about them? What don't you like about them?
Well, paranormal romance was always very enticing to me as a teenager for reasons that I think I explore a lot in the book, but it was also very disturbing to me even at the time, about how even though the girl is the main character, she's not normally doing anything. And a lot of the fantasy is built around having things done for her, having people fight over her being this thing that's wanted, and that being played as a good thing. And I really wanted to rebel against that and show what makes it so enticing and why this exists, but also take it out to its logical conclusion and have that become kind of the horror story that it really is. And my favorite character, I love writing Angela. I really do. I think my favorite character in Out of the Pocket has got to be Prin, because she is like my older self storming into the fantasies of my younger self and kind of trying to shake her. And I really wonder what readers think of her, because I made her she's not especially likable either. She goes about everything in the worst possible way. And I wonder if people have been waiting for her to show up and shake them and say, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. Or if she's an unwelcome presence, or even if she might be a scary reflection of people who like me will make fun of this kind of story, and maybe we shouldn't say it in quite that way. That's not nice, and it's not considering all of the emotions that go into this and how complicated a genre it is.
That's really interesting. I have to be honest, I appreciated Prin as a character, and I want to keep this video spoiler free, so I won't go in too depth. But I think I just appreciated the role she played in the story, and I did not read that much into it. So it's super interesting to hear you say it that way. I almost want to go back and reread those parts so I can have that deeper, see the deeper intention that you had there. I know in the forums you get a little bit more in depth on, subverting like the toxic romance. Is there any particular paranormal book that inspired this one, that was like your tipping point of maybe this isn't a good thing, or is it just kind of an amalgamation of your reading of other paranormal?
Oh, yeah. The Twilight phenomenon obviously had a huge impact on this, being a catalyst for it, and all of the imitators that came afterwards. Mortal Instruments, Swoon, all those stories that wanted to be Twilight. And I didn't want to be Twilight, but I wanted to say something about it and something in that same arena, because it left me with so many unresolved feelings and conflicted feelings that I really wanted to explore further.
Gotcha. Well, when did you start reading this book? How long did it take you?
Oh boy. Let's see, it was a few years ago. I'm pretty sure I was writing it in 2015. Yeah, definitely. And I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer at the time. I remember that distinctly, and that also left me with a bunch of conflicted feelings. It probably took about 6 months, a little bit more. That's about typical for when I'm writing a book of this length on my own.
Okay, so that's impressive. I look forward to getting more into that in part 2, where we talk about writing and process and the publishing journey. So another question I have something I thought really stood out from this book, from the typical genre expectations of mother-daughter relationships, was how refreshing the relationship was between the two, and how I really felt that when you say single working mom, there's a certain image you have, and I felt like this book just was such a breath of fresh air in that regard. And relationship with your daughter. So if you could kind of talk about how you wrote those characters, and maybe some background and inspiration there.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really glad that came across well. I really wanted to do a good job with their relationship, because so often the parents in YA fiction are an obstacle, and obviously I had to get her out of the way for most of this book too, because the kids have to have their own stories where they make their own choices. But because this was sort of a cyclical story, that really informed the relationship, and I don't want to give too much away. And I wanted to show their relationship is good for the most part, and they have problems based on being at different points in their lives, and how that changes what their priorities are and what they're most afraid of happening, and the way they see Angela's life going and hopefully not going. And that doesn't mean that because the mother knows more that she's always right. She's not right in how she handles everything, just like Prin, but they are able to end up communicating and understanding each other better by the end. And I really wanted to do that, and not just have it be adversarial or a non-entity to the book.
Yeah, I think it came across really well. That was one of the points I highlighted in my written review, which you can find on our website, f-bom.com, to read more about my takeaways from sitting down with Out of the Pocket.
Your review made me so happy, by the way. You completely got what I was going for and everything. One of those reviews that just warms your heart. Thank you very much for it.
I'm glad to hear that.
What else do you have for us, Cecilia? I think we're going to end part 1 here, and then you guys can be on the lookout for part 2. But first, let's release the topic of our fiction contest. The topic will be Lead Astray. Lead Astray. So you can look out for our promotional video for that. And as usual, we are offering publication on F-BOM blog, free F-BOM membership, and then we also have other work, some side effects.
Which, by the way, I really want to read because that's an awesome title.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we look forward to seeing you in part 2. And don't forget, if you are not a member, you have until July 31st to become a founding member of F-BOM.com as we celebrate our 1-year anniversary. So stay tuned. See you soon.